Hello, my name is Austin, and I'm here today on the Raw Alternative. I'm acting as the honorary host. Might be asking yourself, where's Rick? But fear not, because I'm here with my friends Rick, Jenny, and AJ of Baroque Monody, and we're going to discuss their in-your-face but delicate sound of brooding and infectious rock. Please welcome Baroque Monody. This is banter. This is B-roll. Yeah.
We're rolling.
So, how's everybody doing today?
Very good.
Good. Thanks for sitting down with me here. Group of friends have been playing together for a little bit now, so I thought I'd dive in here and ask you some questions. Cool. So we'll kind of start off here. Just tell us a little bit, it's more so for Rick and Jenny, but tell us a little bit about, the formation of Baroque Monody.
Do you want to take this one?
Yeah, I guess so. I had an idea to have a project where, I was the songwriter, and because I've been in other people's projects where I would maybe help with songs, or I wanted to be the person, right? And play guitar and keys too, obviously. But never really had a chance to play guitar in other projects. I either played keyboard or bass or one of the other things like backups, And I wanted to kind of just see what would come out, because I had a pretty long break from playing music that wasn't classical or something like that, musical theater. And so I just embarked upon that. I was recruiting for people and came across a few people that were, they had ideas, but maybe weren't exactly the ideas I had. And our mutual friend, my friend Fred, introduced me to him,
kind of through social media.
Yeah, not in person, And so I was like, well, should I go meet up with him? He's not gonna kill me, right? So.
and the rest is history.
Fred was like, I don't think so. I mean, because people be scary. So.
Awesome.
I guess that's that part of it.
So, just to kind of put a timeline on it, when approximately would that have been that this would have started?
Exactly 10 years ago, pretty much.
So about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, January 2013,
okay.
I mean, I was
right
putting
after
out
the
my
new
feelers
year.
About
Yeah.
10 years ago.
Yeah, so about a 10-year project in the making and continuing. Awesome.
Yeah.
The project that won't die.
Yeah, there you go. So maybe for new listeners or people that are not familiar, could you give us just a brief rundown of kind of what the Baroque Monody sound or inspiration might be?
Well, it's really just a culmination of all the things we like. In the early days, Jenny was very into shoegaze. Would you say shoegaze and a lot of that 90s alternative, and I came from a little bit more of the heavier side of things, the heavier side of grunge and bands like Nine Inch Nails and Tool and things like that. But we had a mutual love for stuff like Black Sabbath, and
I liked it, but I never really had a chance to play it in any of the other projects I was in, or to incorporate it.
So we really just started to bridge the gap. How do we make sense of that? And just been kind of forging our own path ever since.
Yeah, I would say even kind of going on to today, we're kind of still seeing that kind of melding of the heavier with sort of the atmospheric sound, and that kind of brings me to my next question. Who would you kind of consider, some of the leaders or the torch bearers of kind of what you're doing today? One that kind of came to mind for me was, I know Rick is a fan of Chelsea Wolfe. That was kind of somebody that had come to my mind.
New people?
Yeah, kind of people that are kind of doing what you're doing now.
I guess that would be a good one. I don't really know.
Well, in general, you're seeing, and Chelsea Wolfe would be a good example of this, you're seeing a lot of genre bending and genres crossing that have never crossed before. You think of newer bands like Deaf Heaven or Holy Fawn that have taken shoegaze and metal in their own way and twisted and bent it into something new. AJ, what do you think?
Because you're listening and then playing.
Yeah, the outsider perspective, ish, I guess. With with the songs that we're playing, at least up until this point, I always heard like a little bit of like Britishness to it. Okay.
Okay.
So like,
Oi, oi.
Yeah. Like hip hop, right?
yeah, like a little bit of like kind of like an art kid rock band, and even with some of the heavier stuff, I almost even got like to compare it to the newer thing.
Yeah.
Like some of it had like a little bit of like a royal blood ish vibe
Okay, yeah.
to it. Okay, like on the weirder side of that. But yeah, Rick's right. I mean, it really is it's a hodgepodge, man.
Yeah, and kind of drawing elements from
I am.
all over the place. Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, okay, yeah, Chelsea was a good one, but then doesn't that also harken back to PJ Harvey? And we starting all over with
Right,
the 90s.
yeah.
Now we're just combining it with whatever she's doing in her own sound. But I would still consider that alternative. I'm not worried about, like, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. It's
Split
just kind of
hairs.
yeah, more so like the new school versus the
Yeah,
old school
yeah.
type. Where
I mean,
you know.
I appreciate that journalists like to kind of, subdivide. Because even in the 90s, we were starting to do that, like with the Britpop, you know what I mean?
Right.
And it was Britpop revival, and then it was like, well, not all the bands sound like the Beatles or the Who, so they're doing like what I said, a 360, but then putting their own spin on it, and then rinse repeat. It's like the wheel that's in motion all the time, right?
Right.
And music does that. And
So kind of going from that, with the melding of genres and kind of an ever evolving sound, even just the way that you've kind of released your music with previous album like Aphrodite Laughs, kind of focused on a particular concept,
yeah.
and since then you've kind of stepped more into releasing music as an EP
They
form.
still have concepts though.
Yeah, what was
Yeah.
kind of the reason, just I guess, from going to the album to more of like the EP format?
Well, I think it depends on the concept. I mean, some concepts don't call for an opus.
Mhm.
You know?
Right.
Like, I guess you could say the difference between an opera and like a musical theater piece that's shorter. Like, is the story told? Like how long does it take to tell the story?
Okay. Yeah.
And then also I like the EP format because it's like you still have the idea of like maybe having a song or two that's like the single,
Mhm.
but it's still like part of a greater thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think on albums, it gets to be kind of like hard to the listener sometimes, and if you're not going to listen, if it's not going to flow on its end, then why I get bothered? I don't know if that's weird, but like why stress out about like doing filler songs and things like that? Because I don't believe in that approach.
Right.
I don't think that you should have songs that are just there to fill the time. So if I think that the story has been told with like 4 songs or whatever, or even a couple of singles, like an A side, B side, then that's good enough.
Absolutely.
There's this funny thing too, because in the age of the compact disc, if you kids out there remember what those are, in the age of the compact disc or the CD, you had 80 minutes to fill, which was
That's a long
much.
time.
It was double the length of vinyl,
Yeah.
essentially. So I think record labels were probably pushing artists to pump that out because before the age of the internet, you wanted to consume and have your fans get their money worth and whatnot. But we're well out of that age now. But coming out of that age, it's weird because we've pulled back. Like you've seen actual albums go from 80 minutes to now roughly a half hour, 35 minutes,
That's what
and
they were
then
in the 60s.
right,
Yeah.
and you're seeing a lot
Going
more
back
EPs,
once
which
again.
I don't know if it's just in the age of the internet. It's very easy to, I don't know, it's very easy for things to fall through the cracks. So a slimmer, more concise piece of music seems to make more sense.
So yeah, since you brought it up, maybe could we get a little, I guess a little, hype up about what's to come for Baroque Monody, as far as the new EP or new release or whatever you have in store.
Yeah, so for Persephone Returns, basically she is a Greek goddess, right? Not on purpose, but sort of a thing. As it turns out, they're sisters, so that's interesting. There'll be sister releases. There'll be some parallels, but I'm specifically kind of using her as like an analogy for changes and even some climate change commentary that I'm making, because she, of course, was the one who, when she left, everything became winter, and when she came back, it was spring. That explains the season changes. But yeah, there'll be 4 tracks, and they'll go in order of the seasons. So it'll start with springtime, summer, fall, and winter.
So a lot of inspiration, kind of drawing from, mythology and a lot of different areas, kind of inspiring the new piece.
And
So
just the natural rhythm of things, or what ought to be the natural rhythm of the earth, and things like that.
awesome.
So maybe a little more overtly, overtly concerned with things like that, I guess you could say.
Okay. So you kind of hearing some of Jenny's inspiration. Rick, where do you kind of draw some of your inspiration from as far as approaching writing new music? Is it kind of, bringing an idea to Jenny, or kind of, working collaboratively on that?
Depends on the song, probably. But
Yeah, it does depend on the track. A lot of times, I guess coming back, because we took a break, we took a break through the pandemic and that, and just coming back from that, kind of looking back at what we did as a band, there's an interesting view, now I've seen what we've done, and I could kind of now cherry pick, I liked this, but you know what, if I'm going to do this again, I'm going to do it this way. So I could kind of cherry pick certain elements to what we've done and tweak them into, where I'm at as a songwriter today, so to speak.
Okay. Yeah, that actually kind of, leads to my next question. Over the span of Baroque Monody, you guys have really went from guitar heavy and kind of more recently you've went to key heavy and a lot of electronic. Was that sort of a conscious effort, or just kind of something that came up organically in the writing?
I mean, as far as me as the person who's, I guess you could say, playing both of those instruments, for me it's sort of I think sometimes the instrument kind of picks. I don't necessarily pick the instrument.
Yeah, so kind of just organically what fits each song.
But I do like to try to have a pretty even mix on any given record. But yeah, for a minute there, I think it was kind of more guitar and then more. And now it's literally going to be split down the middle for this one. So that'll be, And
What's
it just kind
nice
of
is
depends,
on the first 2 records, it was very guitar driven, very full band experience, and we kind of changed it up when we hit our third EP, The 4 Loves, and a little bit there where we brought in electronic elements and just kind of mixed it up, because we knew we could make another release sounding just like we did before, but it was kind of fun to step out of that and
experiment a little bit.
Bands like Radiohead, not to compare, but in any way, but I've always appreciated how they're just musical chameleons, and they seamlessly go from guitar rock to synthesizer atmosphere to blending the both of those two seamlessly.
Kind of depends too on what I'm doing, because just because a song is guitar heavy doesn't necessarily mean that there's 2 guitar players on it. It's just him that he's layered with. So actually, Empress, Empress is
Our first record
is still split down the middle when you think about it, because for 4 songs I play keys. And for 3, I mean, it's guitar heavy on his end, but yeah, and I don't know. I've always kind of wanted a little bit of everything to be represented, but yeah, inevitably sometimes there's phases where you just
a little conscious effort. And
I mean, it's
comes
not
up
quite as
organically.
extreme as Rush, who was all guitars, and then all of a sudden nothing but songs with keyboards. What's this guy doing? I mean, it was great, but I think everybody was shocked at that 180.
Yeah,
and in the 360 too. Great expos, by the way.
Right.
Yeah.
So kind of over the years, your sound has changed, and at the core, it has been, the both of you as Baroque Monody, but now you have AJ with you. And how's kind of playing with different people over the years? Has that affected the writing process in any way, or?
I think sometimes especially when I start to work with someone who's got like-minded, like AJ likes a lot of the same music, because we're about the same age and grew up on the same stuff. I kind of know that going into it, and go, okay, well, here's this, and I can kind of almost hear a part, and then to my surprise, you play it I don't need to tell him really. Like, that's kind of nice. And I've had other bassists like that too. And drummers too, like, cause I don't speak drummer, but like I can hear parts and I can, and I can go do or whatever.
Yeah, it's nice to have someone walk into the fold who
yeah.
has a good understanding of where we're coming from.
People that
wink wink
that haven't, or people that are maybe come from a different genre, have always had quite a bit to contribute as well, and I don't want to undermine that, because I think for me that challenges me. Now they might play something a little different than I envision, but it always ends up kind of being like, okay, well, this is something that just made the project get even more,
Right.
And now when we go back to play those ones, like with you guys and everything, you guys are going to have your own spin on it.
Yeah, kind of ever evolving.
And I
almost
don't really
as
like
Yeah.
live stuff to be the same every time anyway. What's the point?
Yeah.
You know, and
that's what live shows are for.
yeah, and
So-
not to keep name dropping, but another band. I mean, I love Queens of the Stone Age. You know, every album cycle, it's different.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a completely different approach.
That's what-
So I mean, that's exciting to me.
Right.
That you know.
Yeah, keeps
what are
it
they? What are they
fresh.
going to do next? You know.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Nice. So we had kind of talked about this question previously, but since it kind of came up, if you could pick your dream rhythm section, you've cut AJ and I out of the fold a little bit here.
Yeah.
So who would be your dream band for Baroque Monody, the all stars, if you will?
So we are open to living or dead. And
Yeah, and there's nobody off limits.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think I might have to steal Jack Bruce for bass, and probably for drums Mitch Mitchell. So I'm taking like two great bands,
There you go.
I'm gonna have some other like runners up, and things like that. I mean, obviously, Ginger Baker and Jack Bruce would be locked in, but they'd probably be doing the same thing. I'd be curious to see what Jack would do with Mitchell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, bringing some different elements.
Yeah.
Rick,
I mean, they're dead, so sorry, but
yeah.
I would go with Animal from the Muppets
Okay.
and the
I know,
bass
definitely.
player for the California Raisins. Just the simple juxtaposition that you have
There you go.
the chaos of Animal with the sort of confounded stop motion brilliance of
Absolutely.
the dude from
Professionalism.
the professionalism of the California Raisins.
Absolutely.
But Animal might eat the
I was
raisins,
just
so
gonna
that,
say
that
that,
could go
yeah.
Yeah.
south very quickly.
Yeah.
But a man can dream.
Excellent. So I got a couple. I've got a couple rapid fire questions here, and then we'll finish
Yeah.
out. So I thought it might be fun.
Rapid fire.
I'll give you two choices and just
Okay.
give me your take here.
Sure.
So your coffee with cream and sugar, or take it black.
I do cream and sugar.
Cream.
And you don't.
AJ,
I don't drink coffee.
no
Yeah.
coffee.
No, but I do drink tea, black. I
Okay.
guess it's a
So
similar.
the
Brown.
answer is still black.
I guess
Right.
so. Yeah.
Okay. Pizza or tacos.
Tacos.
Pizza.
I'm going pizza.
Okay. All right. Now we're getting into the good
Yeah,
stuff
this
here.
is the
This is the
important
nitty- the
stuff in
nitty-gritty.
life.
My Bloody Valentine or Slow Dive.
My Bloody Valentine.
Slow dive.
My
For
Bloody
obvious
Valentine.
Ooh. Working in the studio or playing a live gig.
It's tough. They're such different animals. I think I'm more comfortable in the studio, though.
Can I splice the answer into something?
You can do whatever you want.
Here's the thing. I think that when it's live and the songs are new that you haven't recorded them yet, that's kind of interesting and fun to me because you're not committed to how they are. Studio can be nerve-wracking because once it's there, it's well, that's it.
Yeah, this is your
You know?
permanent statement,
You know,
whereas when you
and-
play them live, you can tweak your statement.
You kind of get the unspoken pressure of the studio. Yeah.
But obviously I do like it.
Right.
I mean, because live shows have their own drawbacks, especially as an independent artist, doing everything yourself and all
Right,
that stuff.
yeah.
But as far as the music, cutting out all the mundane experiences of either being in a studio or live or whatever, I would just say that I like playing the music live, especially when it's brand new, because I can. I mean, you can always record that, right?
Yeah.
Which is what we're gonna do tonight. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And my last one here. Yeah. Oh, AJ. Yeah. So what about you? Live gigs or?
I'm live, 100%.
Yeah. I kind of expected
Yeah.
that. Yeah. My last one. This one's for Jenny.
Oh, okay.
Keys or guitar?
Once again, it depends on what the song wants. I
Okay.
don't make the rules. Songs write me.
Okay.
Music plays you.
That's right. Yeah.
And anything you want to plug coming up? Kind of close out here.
Cedars
Ohio?
and
Yeah.
Cedars on January 6th in Youngstown, Ohio. And our new EP, Persephone Returns, will be out in 2023.
Awesome.
Should start
Most
that
likely.
in January-ish.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys very much for sitting down and talking with me, and
Yeah.
look forward to hearing some tunes. And,
Thank you.
all right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you guys.
Yeah.